Nityanandam. We're going to start with a Sadguru Vandanam. Nityanandam Paramasukhatam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Tattvamasya Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Welcome back to The Curious Mind, your go-to podcast for thought-provoking explorations into the profound depths of human experience, seeking wisdom, knowledge, and enlightenment. I'm your host, Nithya Atmadayananda, and today we're diving into a captivating topic with our special guest, Sri Nithya Shraddhananda. He is the head of KAILASA Seattle. Sri Kailasa is a revival of the ancient Hindu enlightened civilizational nation. So get ready to unlock the secrets of inner strength. It's going to be an illuminating journey, no doubt. So grab your favorite cozy spot and let's embark on this transformative exploration together for today's episode. So, as I have had this little segment, we've introduced our guest, but I'd also like to introduce Sri Shraddha through the eyes of the people around him, through the words of the people around him, through the experiences of the people around him. And with Sri Shraddha, we've had like 7 responses, all creative ones. So are you ready to hear what people have to say about you?
Yeah, super excited and nervous as well.
And see if you can guess. Actually, our previous guest, Ma Muktika, she was able to guess one of them precisely.
Okay.
So here we are. A Guru Bhai that is evolving so powerfully, he carries with him a space of listening, readiness to jump into action and simply align with Swamiji at all times. As Mahant of the Nityananda order, he constantly nurtures the desire to manifest beyond all odds with his deep belief in and devotion to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagwan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. He's a force to reckon with and a strong leader under the guidance of and with the blessings of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. It is always a pleasure to work with him, and I look forward to manifesting much more. Wishing him many more experiences of devotion and gratitude. Any guesses?
Is this from Ma Krista?
She's one of the people later, but that was Ma Muktika.
Ah,
That must have thrown you off a little bit because I did say, you people around you, and of course, Ma Muktika is around you, but she's not physically around you.
Muktika is very much around me, actually.
She is
She is my go-to
physically.
person for all spiritual related questions, doubts that I have. So, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Now for other people, I will share quickly. There's one very creative one, but I'll start with this one. A very grounded person who understands the people dynamics. He believes in his purpose and is deeply driven by Swamiji connection. So he is more patient and accepts the difficult, demanding situations as it is, and gives his best to handle the challenges. He finds much of his solace in his true home, which is his connection with Swamiji. He carries the temple responsibility no matter how demanding it is to keep the temple alive. He thinks beyond the routine, necessary basic activities and is able to remain energetic without mental tiredness, looking for opportunities to heal, enrich lives. Swamiji has given him the right name, Shraddhananda, a sincere, driven, purposeful person whose responsible connection with Swamiji can be taken as an inspiration. That is from Rajkumar. I found something very common. I'll share that at the end, what I found common. So here is from Madhivya. True to his name, Sri Shraddhananda is absolutely sincere and dedicated to everything he is involved in. One word that comes to mind, if I have to describe him in momentum, like a wheel that rolls, not because it has to, but just because of the way it is. He keeps things going just by exhibiting the momentum like quality. One more quality that inspires me about him is he can pull his weight, he can take up more responsibilities even if he's stretched to his limit. He has an expanding capacity for responsibility. His maturity and patience in understanding and dealing with people is commendable. Right. The next one is, should I tell you who it is, or would you like to guess?
I think it's better if you tell me who it
You tell you.
is.
Because you're not used to hearing this, right? Normally we don't have this in our conversations. But
Exactly. And also, since Kailasa Seattle is pretty big, right? I work with so many people. So, I'm not really listening to the conversation, like what you're reading. When you ask me to guess, my mind just keeps going like,
ah,
who could use this word? Who could use
oh,
this word?
go to that
So I
one.
think it's better if you just tell who it is so I can
I
actually
will.
focus
Okay,
on the conversation. Yeah.
fine. So this is from Madevananda. Sri Shraddha is very kind, patient, and equable, even and steady. In my experience and observation, Sri Shraddha doesn't give up on people, and he has a remarkable ability of easily persuading and convincing. Convince means to cause someone to believe um, truth of something. Persuade means to induce someone to something through reasoning or argument. He does both very well. So basically, she's saying that you are able to persuade and convince very, very well. That was Madhavananda. This is from Krista, the next one. Krista says, I first met Sri Shraddhananda in person when my children and I visited the Kailasa Seattle temple. His energy alone is very soothing and energizing. You can tell he is someone that's powerful spiritually. My children were all drawn to him. He has a way of teaching that only makes you feel empowered and not anything negative. He has always been willing to help and teach, which therefore motivates me to want to be better within myself. That was, and she said, thank you from Krista. So now we've got two more. We have one from Marani, and she says, what I want to share about Sri Shraddhananda Ayya is, I have seen him before he was a Mahant. I have seen him as a student. We used to come from Pullman to Seattle for the temple. I have seen him since. The one thing that always struck to me was, even at that time, he was very connected to Swamiji. I was not so connected to Swamiji at that time, but he was very connected. And the way he handled everything, it was inspiring to see his devotion just by his body language. The way he interacted with everyone, I felt very respected and loved. He attended to all of us, even though he was younger. I feel like he's my brother. That feeling he gave to everyone that came to the temple. That is the number one quality a Mahant needs to have, that kind of non combative relationship. Vibrant presence and positive enthusiasm and deep devotion to Swamiji. The name given by Swamiji is perfect, which is Sri
Yeah.
Shraddhananda. Now, the last one is a little creative. So, it is Malata, and she's asked to read a poem out by Tony Umbaga. It says, you give beyond the limits of our asking. You nurture hearts and bodies, minds and souls. You reach past every fear and all misfortune. You bless our shallow tears through your own pain. You sacrifice in purity of silence. You dream only for others, not for yourself. You strive to rise above the ordinary. You are more loved than you could ever know. That is by Tony Ombaga. And that was the list of all of the different people around you that had something to say. I think it's we can have a bio about you, and then you have this, which I feel is more revealing, because your presence leaves a certain impression on people, and when you hear back from them, one thing I said to you that I found a common thread is, a lot of people feel like you are an embodiment of your name, your qualities, you're embodying them, and that's a spiritual path. When we're given a spiritual name by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, this exactly, it's a compass, isn't it? So
That's
it's,
true.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's very true because and when I'm listening to all the different sharings, what people really feel about me, who actually live around me almost every day, I meet, talk to them almost every day. One thing that I felt was common, or I should say, one thing that I feel about each and every sharing that was given over here was all of these are actually one of the many qualities that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism expresses, right? And while actually listening to that, I should say, I'm drenched in the rain of bliss because, it makes me feel like, oh, wow, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is expressing through me through so many different ways. Because in my perspective, it has always been, hey, how can we take the mission of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism better and reach more people? And that's the context I meet with when I meet with all these people. That's the context that I hold, right?
Right.
But it's very beautiful to see when we operate with that context, how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism expresses through us. He himself expresses through us through all these qualities. So I'm forever grateful to him for expressing through me and keeping me as the medium, one of the mediums through which he is able to reach and inspire more people.
Oh, beautiful. Absolutely. And Swamiji has said, that all Mahants are his extensions. And clearly, because you're integrated and devoted, that expression happens easily, and people are able to experience that as well, experience the qualities. So yeah, I'm glad you shared how you felt, because that was one of my questions, like how do you feel after listening to everyone's little sharing about you. And I was frantically, getting Shraddha to get me as many as she could. And bless her, she, with taking care of the baby and all, she managed to get me quite a lot of them. So yeah, I was a bit worried. I was thinking, am I going to delay the session? But it's worked out beautifully, it's timed out beautifully, so that's great.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been involved with Sri Kailasa and the Seattle temple?
Actually, I just I'm officially an adult with my relationship with Sri Kailasa because I connected with Swamiji in November of 2005. So that's 18 years now.
Wow.
So that's how long, right? I've been connected with Sri Kailasa, how long I've been connected with Swamiji. Actually, it's very beautiful because I was very young when I got connected with Swamiji, and he came to my hometown for delivering a satsang. And that's pretty much it. I never knew that day would just change my life altogether. Like he just like, how people say somebody just sweeps you off your feet.
Right.
Swamiji was such a force, right? He just
Yes.
swept me off my feet, and it was something that I could never recover from in a very positive way, right? It is something that I could never, like, if I look back at my life now, it just feels like Swamiji, 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 Swamiji. Was there nothing else outside of that? Actually, yes, right? So it's such a beautiful journey that I feel, and as I told earlier, right? My gratitude to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism for letting me connect with him at such an early age and letting me stick through with it for all these years. Because there are two things, right? One is getting connected,
Right.
the second is sticking through it, right?
Mm.
And with Seattle Sangha, I came to the United States in 2014. I was initially in Chicago, and then I moved over in 2016 to Seattle. And since then, I've been part of Kailasa Seattle specifically.
Wow. Amazing. I'm a little jealous actually that you got to connect with Swamiji when you were so young. I don't know what I was doing, but definitely I'm a little bit jealous that you got to get, because 18 years, and especially when we're younger, the amount of listening and the impressions, when the impressions are very strong, positive, and from the space of possibility, and we get connected to that. And as you said, once you get connected, that's obviously the grace of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, we even get connected. And
Yeah,
after that, the sticking around, that's a bigger gift, because that's something so deep, and it becomes nature. I feel like it's my nature now to be connected. It's just part of me. And that's, I feel, even bigger gift to be able to continue to stay connected. And once again, it's the grace of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and Paramashiva for us to be able to continue.
yeah.
Now, when you're faced with doubts, no doubt, we all have, right? When you're faced with doubts or setbacks, what inner strength or source of inspiration is derived from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagwan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam? What helps you push through those challenging moments?
I think one of the most important teachings from Swamiji that I've learned, and it's from an amazing one-day workshop called as Kalpataru, where Swamiji teaches us how to manifest our reality. And in that program, Swamiji talks about various things. And one of the most powerful cognitions that Swamiji shares during that workshop is, to quote him verbatim, "You are not done, you are a seed. The moment you feel you are done, at depth level, you're dead." Right? This keeps striking a chord every time with me when
Right,
I feel, oh, this is not something that I can do. Or the moment I feel like, this is not for me, this amazing seed that Swamiji actually put inside of me comes in, right? Comes to life and says, hey, you're a seed. You're not done. Now you're thinking that you're done, but remember what Swamiji said. He said you're a seed, right? So that is, I should say, that's the one single thing that keeps me pushing beyond my boundaries, beyond my limits. When I feel like, this is not for me, or I just can't do it, I just keep remembering that, that initiation, that
right,
special cognition that I received, that I'm still a seed, I'm not done. And only when I think I am done, I am dead. Like that's so true, right? Like the
right,
moment you give up on something, the moment you think you're done, you're
right,
dead. Like, that aspect of your life is dead. You're no longer going to be exploring that side of your life.
right,
So this is something that I even have at my home, like, stuck in one of my walls. So whenever I feel down, whenever I feel uh, that, this is not something, this is going beyond my limits, I see that and I start to cognize and experience that I'm a seed. And I can actually see after that how beautifully that seed flowers into a plant, grows into a tree, and gives all those beautiful fruits that not just me, but everybody around me can also enjoy. So that's, I would say, is one of the most powerful thing that keeps me going, that pushes me through
right.
during those difficult times.
Wonderful. You continue, that gives you, that powerful cognition gives you. And I know exactly what you're talking about because I've attended the Kalpataru and I've also conducted it. And as you said, this powerful cognition has made a home in me too. And anytime I'm stuck, it's like this is not the end of. Because when we say, okay, I'm giving up, then we're definitely done. As you said, there is no more opportunity left. We've closed all the doors and there is no possibility left for anything new to happen. But when we say, you're not done, you're not done, there is more possibility that opens up, right? That there is like this persistence that starts to happen in us, right? And also, I know the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has spoken about will persistence as well. I have a question. How has the teaching of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism inspired you to cultivate that will persistence in your spiritual practice and everyday life?
Yeah, actually, one thing that I have learned from Swamiji is keep yourself open to continuous expansion, right? And it might sound too big, but Swamiji gave a very simple process for this, right? Very simple. You can take it as a spiritual process or a meditation, whatever it is, something that makes you manifest that, right? Which is saying yes to life and never say no. So that's something I've been following for a few years now, and I've reaped the benefits out of it like anything. And I continue to follow it because I feel that, just like how I was saying previously, saying no closes doors, right?
Right,
But saying yes opens the possibility of much more that could happen. And ultimately, right, our mind kicks in and says, hey, you're saying that you can do this, you can do that, but do you even know how to do it?
mm,
Honestly, if I have to say, answer is no. Like sometimes I just don't know.
right,
But when I say yes to something, the energy that the yes gives actually pushes me to explore how to do it, right? That's an amazing teaching or experience that I have got from Swamiji, from that time, what I've always done is I've made it a point to say yes. Like if somebody asks, like, can you do this for me? Or can you explore this? Can this be done? Can that be done? I'll be like, yes. Then I will start figuring out how.
Right.
Because another principle of Swamiji is integrity, right? Like when you say something, when you give a word for something, you
Right.
commit to it and you should even be ready to give your life to make that happen. So now that I've said yes,
Mm.
whether I like it or not,
Right.
I'm forced to be in a situation to keep up my word, which is also just keeps aligning me spiritually again and again. And
Mhm.
sometimes, right, like, it's okay. I feel like it's okay sometimes to do a few things a bit late. But
Mm.
what matters to me is that I do it.
Right.
And that's what Swamiji has taught me. Like, it's not like, you do everything late all the time, but because of the fear that you may not be able to do it or you will be doing it late, you just don't say no to it. You say yes and make it happen.
Right.
Having that consistency, having that stability. And one more beautiful thing also that I want to say about my everyday life, which was part of your question,
Mhm.
is how can I be happy and complete with everything that's happening around me? That's also something that has proven to be a significant force that has moved things for me from one place to other consistently, that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has taught. Because over time, what I'm seeing is completion and talks about completion has become just like everyday part of my life. Like,
Right.
for example, if me and my wife talk about something, it can be a small conflict that me and her are having,
Right.
or it is about a conflict that we have seen somebody else is having, right? I can very clearly see that we don't judge people that moment,
Mm.
right? We just say, hey, you know what? I'm seeing this is the pattern that this person is like, carrying through,
Right.
right? This person is feeling incomplete here. So
Right.
can we help them to be complete in this aspect?
Right.
That has opened up the possibility to say, hey, I'm not going to judge people,
Right.
right? Like 1,000 people can judge me as well with all that I do. But what it takes to be special is to listen to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism
Mhm.
and work towards completion, which I think is the most beautiful learning or the teaching that I've got from him.
Yeah, my favorite too. My favorite too. And exactly what you said, it is part of the daily conversation. It is and it is a very practical way to diffuse and completely remove all conflicts. It can be something very small or it can be something quite major. With major conflicts, I find that it's just that there's many layers of knots. That's all.
Yeah.
It's only big because there's so many layers of it. But otherwise, a simple conflict is, oh well, we're not agreeing on what we want for dinner, example.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because we haven't come to a agreement, this is what we want. It might be something very simple, but a very complicated one, which is like so many family members are involved and there's so much back and forth and it's gone on for so long and it's just complicated because of the layers, but it can be simplified and easily completed. It's my favorite topic, completion. I could go on and on. I might take over, so stop me. Can you share a personal example, maybe of a time when you faced like challenges or obstacles on your spiritual path, and how your personal will persistence helped you overcome them?
Yeah, actually, I can definitely share many examples. And one very special example goes back to one of the most challenging aspects of my spiritual path, right? Which is, so I was connected, like I said, I was connected to Swamiji since 2005, and I was following him. I've attended a number of programs, courses, and all of that, got the powerful cognition. But there was one thing that was always very difficult for me, which was taking up responsibility, right? Leave others. Even taking up responsibility for me was a big thing, was a huge deal for me, honestly. And in 2016, I was attending the Inner Awakening, the 21-day powerful program from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism that exposes various layers of your thought currents, ideas that you carry about yourself, others, the science of completion, and all of that. So I was going through that very intense process, and I was very fortunate at that time to actually attend that physically with the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And during one of the darshans, out of nowhere, um, Swamiji said, "Take responsibility and become the Mahant of Kailasa Seattle." I said, "Yeah, great. Swamiji is asking something from me. Great." And I came down. I was so happy that Swamiji is asking me to do something. And I walked down the stage. And once I was off the stage, it hit me as like, what happened just now? Right. And I started to understand and realize that, this is something that I've always been scared of in my entire life.
Mm,
And I was okay with it, honestly, right? I was okay with it saying,
mm,
I take care of myself at the maximum, and that's enough for me. And now Swamiji gives his entire Pacific Northwest kingdom that comes under Kailasa Seattle. And he says, "Now you are the head, you take care of it." Now, what does that mean? I have no idea. I was still like, just fresh out of my college and just started to work. I was still like, I was not even a manager, managing a few people. So now he's asking me to manage an entire ecosystem, which was such a huge deal for me. Like, and that sort of put me on a back step thinking, can I do it? It created a lot of like, questions inside of me.
mm,
But what I realized was that was the starting point, or I should say, that was the bubble that Swamiji had to burst inside of me. So actually start opening up on the responsibility side as well. And he put me through a various amount of situations, right? Like, it was not easy. Like, there were a few people who were already very well established in Kailasa, Seattle, who were managing a lot of things at the temple. So it was easy, like to say, "Hey, can you please get this done for me?" And they will do it.
right.
And one fine day, very soon after this, they all moved different cities, different places, different states. And I was just there with like a handful of people. And I was like, wow, I was able to understand and realize the fear that was inside of me, because the fear was the first thing that came up. Like, how will I do it all by myself now? Like, how will I just do it with a handful of people? But slowly, Swamiji made me understand that all that matters is like saying yes
Mm,
always and not falling by the side of no.
mm,
You are a seed,
mm,
right? And making sure you keep doing whatever you can, and the cosmos will just align everything to make everything else happen. All that matters is your intention, right?
right.
That was such a powerful cognition for me, such a powerful, I should say, experience for me, because I was just put on the spot. Like, others are all like, simple, like, there's a small situation that happened, I could just resolve it and go. But this was not like that. And also, there are so many aspects to it, right? Because the ruler of the cosmos, Swamiji,
Mm,
has given a responsibility. Now, if I can't do it,
right.
how can I do that? Now, there
Right.
is not just the pressure of doing it. There is also pressure from so many different sides that got like, I felt like I got just attacked by a swarm of bees all at the same time, and I'm like
Right.
trying to escape, right? But I think that's a very, very powerful learning and a teaching for me, because you learn by experience,
Right.
right? And Swamiji is an expert in putting you on the spot to
Right.
make sure you learn by experience, right? He put me on the spot and ensured that I will, like, he ensured that, he kept popping up, like, in different places for me through his teachings, cognition, saying, "Now implement this, you will see this will work. Right now, implement that, you will see it will work." So it was like a ladder for me. Every step I take, there was the path for the next step that appeared, right? Then I take the next step, there was the path for the next step that appeared, which built tremendous trust in the cosmos for me, right? I think this was one of the most challenging aspects, I would say, in my spiritual path, because one, I wanted to be integrated with my guru. I gave him some word, I want to make sure that happens. I don't think it's possible for me to make it happen. Now how do I do it, right? All these five things was addressed ultimately by him, right, through his
Right.
teachings. But the process that it took me through, I would say, is one of the, maybe it's not an obstacle, but it's a challenge that was in front of me on my spiritual journey. That Swamiji put that challenge forward, and he himself held my hand and made me experience how to break those challenges, obstacles, and achieve the higher state. So this is an example. not many people would have known. Even I've not shared this with a lot of people, but this is one example that has made that powerful impact in me, which is helping me carry over and continue with everything that can happen at any point of time in my life. Now it's like, it's not just this, right? If anything else that comes in my life, now I know, hey, you have handled that. Like, Swamiji was there with you. Now it's still there with you. So you can handle this as well. Is what, like, has both the spiritual learning has helped me both spiritually and personally as well.
Yeah, and I can 100% relate to everything you're saying, because just as you had been ordained as a Mahant, it's exactly the same process for me. And I absolutely 100% relate, because it's like, what's a Mahant and what do I do?
Yeah.
do I do? What do I do? What's happening next? And it's I used to attend programs before I had met Swamiji, and there was this kind of like a immersive learning situation. So certain atmosphere was created so a learning experience can happen from them, from those but they were in a room, in a hall, that kind of, so they were on a small scale. um and I find that with Swamiji, the entire planet, whole of life, is that same immersive, very safe learning experience that's created. It's like the whole place has become my playground. And just like this, suddenly I'm the head of an entire zone,
Yeah.
and I am learning on the job. So when Swamiji says, build your ship and swim at the same time, whilst you're swimming, build your ship, it's exactly what he is getting us. You don't, with society, it's always that after I get this done, then I'm going to. So after I finish my degree, then I'm going to practice law. After I do this, then I'm going to do this. You kind of have to get yourself to a perfection level, then you're qualified to get on with something. But with Swamiji, it's like, yeah, you're ready now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's very true.
Now, ready, go off.
Yeah.
And then he takes care. He's
Yeah.
constantly there by your side, making sure, the times when I've like really fallen apart and I'm like, I really don't know what I'm doing here. He'll in some way he'll come through a person, through a phone call, through a satsang, somehow. He will, even if it is him directly saying, come on, do you think this is holiday? Let's go for a meeting. Something will be there that will pull me back into the whole thing and get myself ship shape and get on with it. So the source looks like the from your example, how your will persistence has helped you is literally Swamiji being there, nurturing that will persistence in you and me both. We both experienced it,
Yeah.
right?
That's very true. Yeah.
Yes. What would you say to encourage and support our viewers? We have viewers and listeners of this podcast in developing and sustaining their own will persistence in the face of adversity or doubt on their spiritual path.
When I hear about the word doubt, right, there's one chord that strikes me, because I talk to a lot of people as part of KAILASA Seattle who come for completion, who come for solutions, who are stuck with some problem. And one common thread that I always see is they want solution,
Mhm.
but they are just not sure whether whatever solution we give will work for them.
Right.
Right? And when you operate from that space of doubt all the time, that is what will manifest. Swamiji beautifully says,
Mm.
what you want will not manifest. What you believe is what will manifest. Right?
Right.
And when we sit, like, when I'm here to get a solution and I'm like, sitting in front of, let's say, a satsang or an acharya trying to get a solution. If I sit like, this person is just going to talk the same thing I already know, or I have sit through like 100 sessions before with somebody else and it has not worked, how will this work? When we sit in that space, that's what gets manifested. So it's ultimately our space, our reflection. We are responsible for what we manifest. And the master, guru, I feel he's like a mirror. He's a reflection, right? He just shows you who you are. Like you come to him and with full of doubts,
Right.
he will just inflict more doubts inside of you. If you come to him with like the space of openness to get a solution, then he'll just inflict that solution inside you, right?
Right.
And Swamiji is the best master guru you can get on this planet, because he just not talks about, hey, this is the solution, go work on it.
Mm.
He builds that trust with you
Right.
by quoting the Shastra Pramana, right? He says, hey, look, like in the Shastras, this was there. I'm not making this up. Like, you can go refer. This is the Shastra, this is the verse. You can go check it. You will find that this exists. So, this is actually a solution from the past, from our ancient scriptures. Then he talks about Apta Pramana, right? Which is where, like, masters like Rama, Krishna have also implemented the same things and they have experienced those truths in their life, the manifestations in their life. Then he talks about Atma Pramana, where he says, hey, look, now I have also done this and it has worked for me as well. Now, by this process, what actually happens is it is time tested. He just shows that, look, the solution will work for you now. And he gives it as a Sakshi Pramana,
Right.
saying that it has worked like million years ago, it
Mm.
has worked a few thousand years ago, it has worked just a few months ago with me, so it will work for you also.
Right.
That piece breaks that doubt and says, now this will work for you. It has worked for everybody else, right? So for all the viewers who are here listening, right, for your will persistence, there is nobody better than Swamiji. Just like, listening to him, the authenticity with which he shares information is enough for us to break our doubts and experience whatever he's sharing. So I would say just be open,
Mm.
right? You don't need to believe anything. Swamiji himself says that, like, my very first course, I remember in 2006,
Mm.
it started with, you don't need to believe what is going to be shared here, but do not sit in that space of disbelief.
Right.
Sit in that space of one openness where you are ready to experiment with what is shared. The moment you experiment with it, you will understand that it actually works. So
Right.
that's what I would like to share with all the viewers, right? Be open, sit with that cognition of experimenting whatever he's sharing, and you will see that it actually starts working for you. And that will help build your will persistence. And not just will persistence in any area that you want, right? It will just help you build in that area when you just sit with that openness and feel and connect that you need to experience that,
Right.
experiment with that. That will help.
Right. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is an embodiment of will persistence.
Yeah.
Just his whole life, the thread is that will persistence. Like Ma Ganga, she just sits and sits, and as you know, I'm sure you've heard the satsang where Swamiji says Ma Ganga just sits and sits and sits, and it is her will persistence that breaks the parts of Himalayas for her and to give her way for her to flow. And Swamiji is the embodiment of, so who better to mirror the neurons with than to sit there and to learn from his body language about will persistence than the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism.
Yeah.
And examples he gives as well, they are very much practical. I feel that just by even by doing Avatar Lila Dhyan, just sitting and contemplating on Bhagwan's experiences, his life, that itself has such a strong scent of will persistence. Because with the difference between will persistence and will arrogance is not even attempting to do something because you just believe you're going to fail anyway. So what's the point of doing it? Will persistence is like you said, you're saying, yes, there's a possibility. Let me explore it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
So
very true.
great. Is there anything else you'd like to share with people who are viewing us and listening to us before we go to your rapid fire questions?
Um, I think this one thing that I wanted to share again from Swamiji's teachings and what I've experienced through the years with Swamiji, right? He says, never give up on yourself or others, right? Sometimes we say, hey, I don't give up on myself,
Mm.
but we'll see that we have somewhere given up on the people around us whom we want to work with, whom we want to do things with, and that often leads to more and more conflicts and
Mm.
often leads to more and more complications in our own life. Just
Right.
this one simple teaching, right? Never give up on yourself, on others, will just help us build beautiful relationship, because today people have wealth, people have a lot of money, people are ready to go work out on gym and build their health, right? They just do it all alone. Well, they would do it all alone. But where most of the people feel they are stuck is they don't have people around them. They don't have anybody to share things. They don't have good relationships. They
Right.
feel they're continuously betrayed, cheated. And so they have lost the trust in relationships, right? And Swamiji just beautifully revives not only relationship with people, ultimately the relationship with Guru himself, right? Which is the relationship that you have with Swamiji. So start like, I would say for all the viewers, Swamiji is the best source for you to go for anything that you want to manifest in your life. And it can start as simple as not giving up on yourself and others. That will just flower yourself and your relationship with others.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you. That wraps up that segment beautifully. And now I'd say, are you ready for your rapid fire questions?
Yeah,
Okay. So, what's the one word that best describes will persistence?
not giving up.
What time of the day would you say is your favorite at the temple and why?
Morning, because that's the time I go to wake up the deities. So the deities have their own beds, they sleep in them. So we have a very beautiful process of singing to them slowly, like how we wake up a kid, and then like dressing them up, giving them like neem sticks for brushing their teeth, applying basma, water for bath, and slowly like bring them and put them in their simhasan, right? That's a very beautiful process because you connect with them like as if they are their own child, right?
Right.
So that's the most beautiful part of my day, the mornings at the temple, waking up the deities,
Right.
like just like how I do with my son.
Oh, Suprabhatam Seva, right? That's what they call it.
Yeah,
Right. Okay. And what's your, I know, I should probably not ask you this, but what's your favorite? Who is your favorite deity?
Nataraja.
How tall is Nataraja in Seattle?
12 feet, 12 feet. He's the tallest Nataraja in North America. Such
Wow.
a beautiful, graceful form of Paramashiva.
Wow. What a presence, though. Oh,
Yeah.
God. One more reason I'm jealous of you. Favorite festival and why?
Navratri, because that's the time where you celebrate 9, 10 different forms of the mother, connect with her, and experience her wholeheartedly. All 10 days is a celebration in Kailasa. Like, Kailasa, every day is a celebration, but these 10 days are extremely special because the mother graces in different forms every single day.
Right.
And being part of that activity, dressing her up, like, beautifully decorating her with all the jewels, and then ultimately worshiping her
Right.
and becoming one with her for 10 days continuously is the most favorite part of my year, which is Navratri.
Yeah, well, I'm a Gujarati, so yes, I absolutely relate with that Navaratri time and everything you've said. The last scripture you read, which one was it?
Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita decoded by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Yeah,
Yeah.
my favorite too. We're reading the Living Enlightenment at the moment.
Oh,
So,
wonderful.
right, that brings us to the end of our podcast and our time together. Is there any final words you'd like to say before we
Uh,
close?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mahatmadaya, for giving this opportunity. Again, this opportunity to talk more about the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And these type of opportunities just make us experience more and more and on how much he has created an impact on our life, helps us relive those. So thank you for inviting me to your podcast, and I appreciate your time and time for making time for making me part of this podcast.
No, I'm overjoyed when you said yes and you said yes to coming. I was just overjoyed. So thank you for joining us on this insightful exploration that we've had on will persistence, and many more topics that we've covered actually, as described by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. And of course, a big thank you to our esteemed guest, Sri Nithya Shraddhananda, and all actually every each and every one that has sent in a little a description about how they feel about you. I want to say thank you to them too. We hope this episode has provided you with valuable insights and inspiration to cultivate unwavering determination in your own spiritual journey, because it matters. Remember, the power of your persistence lies within you, waiting to be harnessed. Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep embracing the transformative potential of your unwavering will. Thank you so much. Let's end with the Purana Mantra. ॐ पूर्णमदं पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ओं तत्सत् सर्वं भगवते श्री नित्यानन्द परमशिवपादुकार्पणमस्तु ॐ नित्यानन्दम्.
Whether the inner world success or the outer world success, whether Jivan Mukti, living enlightenment, or the outer world success, power, money, whatever you want, happens with one master key: will persistence. Listen. Not willpower. Willpower means you try to make a will few times. My health should be like this. My life should be like this. My business should be like this. You make few will with the clear idea it is not going to be successful. And when that fails, you think, oh, it is not for me, this is not for me, and you collapse. That is what I call willpower. Actually, it is will arrogance. But will persistence means the number of times again and again and again your ability to create the will intensely is will persistence.